Yes, it's everybody's favourite time of the week again. It's Friday, it's 9 o'clock, and as always, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling here on the Boys on the Bus. And as you can see, as a bus tradition, it's Friday. So, of course, if I'm on the screen, he's with me all the time. He's the right-hand man, the wise man of the bus. He is the beard of knowledge, Canada's favourite Tim, and numerous other different nicknames I'll give him. Yes, in his hat as well, Canadian as expletive. But yes, Liam, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, mate. Doing really good. I'm buzzing. You have no idea how much excitement there is in Canada when the Winter Olympics come round. And so we got these. I'm working with this company called FQ right now doing the eye stuff, and so I designed them a hat thing. We call them the Tukes of Hazard, and so we're having a big launch party tonight. We're rewatching the opening ceremonies, and there's going to be about 200 people here tonight, and we're selling these hats and giving them away. And Canadians love it, and they can't wait to get stuck into the Americans at hockey. So yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah, there's added spice this. Yeah, I think this year's going to be a bit of added spice there in that one. But obviously, Liam, you're excited. You're buzzing about that. So I'm sorry to drag your mood down and bring you on here and talk about Celtic, because I know how scunnered you've been for weeks on here, and I've made it my mission to try and get you up for it. So once again, my mission tonight remains the same. Going to get you up for it because it's Dundee in the Scottish Cup this weekend. 5:30 kickoff tomorrow night at Celtic Park. Round the 16, I believe we're down to at this point. And yeah, as crazy as it sounds, with the most mental season that we've had up to now, there is still a double on the table to be won, but it's up to Celtic to go and get it done, and we can take another step towards it with victory over Dundee. So we'll be talking about that. We obviously talking a wee bit about the game that didn't happen through the week and what that means for the title race. Is it good to have points on the board? Are we game in hand right now? We'll obviously discuss that. The transfer window has officially closed, but it seems like we're still active. And just like Monday night, I'm wearing yellow again, and that's not even intentional. But yes, keeping the old yellow theme going with the transfer aesthetics. But yeah, we are in for a free agent, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. It was reported on Monday. And at first it was kind of like, oh, really? Is this where we're at now? But it seems like Martin O'Neill is kind of keen on it. He's very, very keen on it. In fact, he's not really shut up about it, to be honest. That's one thing I like about Martin O'Neill. He doesn't exactly mince his words. He's not one of these managers that's very coy and, he'll try and deflect away from a question. He's been quite upfront and open. So if Martin O'Neill's excited about it, then guess what? I find him an infectious guy. So I'm quite excited about it. So we'll discuss the potential arrival of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, because it looks like it's a goer. And there's whatever competent business comes up. But of course, before we get into all that, then of course, folks, do all that good stuff. Help the channel out and keep this bus on the road. Keep the word spreading of the channel. So hit the old like button, helps out the old algorithms on YouTube. Yeah, algorithm CSC, as I always like to say. The more likes, more interactions it gets, the more likely it will be recommended to people who like such content like Celtic podcasts. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. If you discover us tonight or in any of our future shows, then hit the old like button or the subscribe bell notification reminded when we're on the road. Let's have a wee look as well, Liam, who is in the chat tonight. We have got Stephen McCarthy is here, Patrick Kerrigan is here, Jim C, Sligo Boy, 420 somewhere, Chill Pill is in, yeah, he is there. I've got William O'Toole is here, Ian McIntosh is in, Smell the Glove is also in. Who else? I'm not sure. Yeah, Gav Boy is here. Stephen Kennedy is also in. Ali is in. Liz Donnelly is here. Who else? I'm not sure. Ian 5306 is here as well. Graham Tyrrell, of course, he's here. Lauren is in as well. Bill Ricky Boy, Chris Murray. Yeah, I think I've shouted at everybody so far that's dropped a comment in, but get involved in the comments throughout the night. Give us your chat. Let us know how you're feeling about things now that thankfully the transfer window is over. It's over, and this is it through to the end of the season. We just need to batten down the hatches and get on with it, because yeah, this is what we've got to get to the end of the season. So we'll be discussing all that. But let us know how you're feeling in general about things right now. You're feeling a bit better about it. You're feeling a bit worried. So yeah, getting involved in the chat tonight. What else can you do as well? If you like, catch up on the audio. If you don't have time to watch us live on TV or on the computer screen, catch up on the audio files. There is a link in the description below to SoundCloud. And if you want to become a Boys on the Bus member, for just $1.99 a month, just to keep the old diesel in the tank, then you can do so. Yeah, you can if you so wish. But it's, as I always say, none of our content is ever on the paywall or be on Patreon. We'll always be here on YouTube, coming out show after show. So, well, I said and done. Liam, let's get talking then. I know I just said the transfer window was shut, but hey, let's talk transfers, mate. Oh wait, do you want in fact, trivia question. I better remember the trivia question because people call me out if I don't do it. Because yes, there is another one lined up here. So, and that's kind of relevant. It does relate to somebody we brought in during the transfer window. So tonight's trivia question is: Celtic signed Junior Adamu on loan from SC Freiburg this past week. But can you name the last player that Celtic signed from SC Freiburg? There is only one solitary answer, and it might surprise you who it is. But yes, can you name the last player that we signed from SC Freiburg before Junior Adamu? And I'll come back to the answer at the end of the show. So, back to the transfer window. How to sum it up, Liam? 5 players brought in. Looks like there's going to be a 6-1. But is it a case of Celtic necessarily, or from the fan point of view, Celtic necessarily didn't get what they want, but did they get what they need, as in fill in the positions that needed bolstered? Because Martin O'Neill seems pretty content with it. He's obviously been saying a lot of positives about it, saying he's happy with the bodies that came in. Sean Maloney also backed that up last Friday when he did the presser for the last weekend's game. So how are you feeling in general now that it's done, Liam?
Well, if you look at them on paper, it's very underwhelming. If you look at the potential, okay, so there's going to be the Martin Maloney Fozzie effect. Can he take these guys and sort of remold them into something where here's an opportunity to restart your career? Because, I thought the ones that we were after, the names that seemed to appear in front of them that we missed out on, that Martin name dropped, well, sort of in a Martin O'Neill type way in the press conference, that, when he was at, we're not 100 miles away from these guys. So what came in, I think, all right, it's needed. Absolutely no reason why all of these needed to go to the very end of the window. I mean, the people that they signed, it wasn't like there was a rush, like they had loads of offers on the table and we beat out lots of people to get them. It looked like somebody that was scrambling to put together a list, do the due diligence, talk to the players and the agents and all that. And, that looked like it was like 3 weeks' work. Whereas, we've been told that when the last window shut, that was when we were starting recruitment again. So somebody's arse needs kicked for sitting on, and we know what it is. It's obviously Paul Tisdale's list, and what they put together with him was absolutely rubbish. That just got torn up and we went for scratch. So let's see what we can get. I'm hoping that we need to work magic with these players. I'm hoping that, one or two of them hits the ground running. None of them are the big names other than AOC, I guess. Chamberlain, we can talk about him later.
Yep.
But of the boys that came in, I think there's potential in them all. The boy for Bodo Glimt, he seemed to have he seemed to be going at a good pace, and then he sort of fell off, just like the big man Spanchara. This is a chance to see if we can improve the team, and hopefully they're good enough to light a fire under the other guys as well. But the last minute stuff, that's what gets you feeling despondent about it all. Is like we knew we were scrambling on the last day or two to get players in, and it was needed for that. We've got the money, we've got the, we'd everything lined up except somebody to pull the trigger. And it still seems like we were waiting on Daddy's permission. No, your daddy, Ross's daddy.
Yeah, it does seem once again it's just all self-inflicted, and we've been here before. We've read this chapter enough times, Liam. It is a recurring theme, as talking heads saying same as it ever was, and yeah, it just happens all the time now, and it's so easily avoidable. But they did get a few deals over the line. Say Junior Adamu from Freiburg obviously came in. We got Van Charam, we got Arojo during the early on the window. I say early. Vanchara wasn't exactly early, was he? 25 days, I think it took us, that one. And then obviously Mvuka coming in, and the boy Benjamin Arthur on loan. But Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, that is obviously the one that he's in the thumbnail tonight. He is the main story, because he seems to be doing the rounds. And as I said at the top of the show, Martin O'Neill is not exactly being coy about it. He's being very much, yes, I am interested in him. He's very excited to come here. And I don't know if you picked up on this, you heard these, you heard the sound bites, but Joe Hart seems to have done his due diligence. We're talking about guys like, this clown Paul Tisdale and all the stuff he did. I saw somebody on Twitter today suggest that Joe Hart's done more as a director of football for Celtic than the likes of Tisdale. And it's like, could Joe Hart be somebody that Celtic could look at incorporating in that way? And we'll get on to talking about boycotts and board shake-ups and whatnot. That's obviously going to come up later on. But if there was, let's say the Celtic board are open to big change and bringing in some fresh faces to shake up the structure, I think Joe Hart would maybe be a shout, by the way.
I mean, so I always thought he'd be a fantastic candidate to replace Stevie Woods. But now that you talk about, when I listen to Joe Hart, many times when I get the Sky feed, I like the way he talks about football. I like his composure. I like everything about him, and I love the passion. I mean, he comes along a lot more sincere. It's even guys like Strachan and that does, and Neil Lennon, guys that have played for the club before that get get a platform to talk about Celtic. With Joe Hart, it's coming through the heart. And he's done everything in the game. I don't know, would he be a great director of football? Aye, maybe. He's certainly got contacts all over the place, international, and I think it'd be great. I'd love to see people like Joe Hart coming back to the club in any capacity. Well, maybe no goals at this stage, but then again, you know what? Gasper's threw a few in the back of the net. Maybe he could come back and have a resurgence. But the fact that he had a word with Alex, we say Oxlade, is it Oxlade-Chamberlain?
Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's got a triple barrel name, yes.
I know AOC, I'm just calling him
AOC,
right?
Yeah.
AOC is easy. And I like that. I like that you still got people out there, being cheerleading for Celtic, and like once you leave Celtic, you still support Celtic. And I think that's something that we have with a lot of the players that have done well and that are high profile and they're left in very good terms. And how could he not support Celtic after the send off he had? And it was mutual. There was a love in there, and it was the last guy I ever expected to see worshipped and vice versa with a Celtic crowd. I always thought he was an arrogant, just.
I was the same. I was the exact same before he joined Celtic. I was always didn't like Joe Hart. It's just something always upped me about him whenever England were playing the World Cup or whatever. Just something always got under my skin about him. But no, he's took to the club. And the thing is, well, and again, we're just theorising here, if there was a way he could be part of a new setup, if there's a restructure, the good thing is, if he was in a position like that, he's played the game. You're not looking at a guy like a Michael Nicholson as a CEO or whatever, who's having to negotiate deals. You get somebody in that's an actual football man and has proper contacts, because, Michael Nicholson's obviously been a hot topic of discussion in his inability to do the job. And but to get people in who've actually played the game, it seems like it's an easier transition for them, and they've also got the contacts and whatnot to reach out to. So these are things to look at. But again, this is all just we're just hoping that the Celtic board will do something like that in the summer. Have a real revamp. But hey, baby steps right now. But let's see, we will be talking about that later on, because there seems to be a little bit of progress, a little bit. But we'll get on to that soon enough. But in terms of Oxlade-Chamberlain, obviously former Arsenal, Liverpool and Besiktas player. He's got 35 caps for England as well. He did also score against Scotland in a rather famous Scotland-England game. You probably remember it. Lee Griffiths scored 2 late free kicks, and it looked like we were going to win. And then Stuart Armstrong obviously gave the ball away, and Harry Kane equalised. But Oxlade-Chamberlain opened the scoring that day. He actually scored the first goal in that game. But in terms of his career so far, he obviously came through at Arsenal. Also, he was at Southampton. Similar trajectory to Theo Walcott. Young, fast winger. Played at Southampton, gets signed by Arsenal still as a teenager. And it looked like he was just going to be another Theo Walcott. They're going to have two players of a very similar, style for the wings. But over time, Oxlade-Chamberlain grew a knack for playing in the middle. And one of the reasons he left Arsenal in 2017 was because he wanted to play more in the middle, and Arsene Wenger didn't want to do that or couldn't accommodate him because he still had guys like Mesut Ozil playing in the middle of the park. So he went off to Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp, who's obviously made him assurances that he would play him there. And ever since then, he's played as a central midfielder because somebody I work with, a mate of mine who's a big Celtic fan, had said to me through the week, like, where's he going to play? And he'd listed Maeda and whatnot. Is he going to take his place? And I'm like, I don't think he's going to play on the wing. I don't think he's got the legs for it anymore, to be honest, because obviously he's 32 now. I don't think you could look at him running down the wing. But he has been a central midfielder pretty much his whole time at Liverpool. And he's continued that when he went to Besiktas. And yeah, he's got a hell of a CV. Champions League winner, UEFA Super Cup winner, Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, Carabao Cup winner. So he's completed the set in England, and he's won the Champions League as well. He's got a winner's medal in that. Bags of experience, lots of international caps for England, and he's on a free transfer. He has been training with Arsenal for the first half of the season because he left Besiktas at the end of last season, but he's done that. And obviously, match fitness is different from physical fitness, so it would take a few games to get him up to speed. There was, of course, some rumours that Mikel Arteta was going to try and scupper it, and after what happened to Kieran Tierney last season, well, once we announced that we were signing Tierney, suddenly Mikel Arteta wanted to use Kieran Tierney for the second half of last season, and there was stories that he was looking to offer Oxlade-Chamberlain a contract to keep him at Arsenal for cover, because I believe Mikel Merino got injured for them earlier in the week, so they're looking at that as a body to cover that. But it seems like Martin O'Neill has worked his magic, and from talking to him, because they say Martin O'Neill's referenced that he's had phone calls with Oxlade-Chamberlain and spoke to him directly, and it seems like it's happening, Liam. So when I've told you his CV there and a wee brief history of his career, are you excited? I say Martin O'Neill seems very giddy about this one. I say I can't help but kind of get on side with O'Neill there.
I think it's box office. It's a marquee signing that walks into the dressing room that people knows. It's a guy that's got a culture of winning, and I like that. And you want that coming into the team, that there's somebody else now that could play on the park, that can hopefully lead her, someone that can lead in the dressing room, but more importantly, lead on the park. And as much as I love Callum McGregor, sometimes he goes missing. And, we've seen that plenty of time. So let's see if we can get him up to speed. Let's see if we can get him playing. I mean, this is a deal we could have done much, much earlier. But again, I think the draw of Martin O'Neill, I don't think they're getting him if Wilfred Nancy's coach.
No, that's true. That's very true.
You're not getting a player like that. There's nobody going to come and say, okay, well, I'll take a chance coming up to Scotland. That if you got Pepe Le Pew there, talking about his total football and all that shit. So I don't think you're getting him. So that's definitely a Martin O'Neill type draw. And I'm happy to have it. I know there was another boy that you might know some information about as well. The boy that played for, was it AC Milan?
Bakayoko, Tiemi Bakayoko. He was at Chelsea, AC Milan and Marseille. Yep, his name came up as well.
Would it not been great to sort of recover for such like an underwhelming window, to add those two at the end, I think would have been, that might have brought the board some grace to show that we're actually going out there and we're making an intention to win this league. So the fact that they only went for one of them still a bit peely-wally. It's a bit still risk adverse. Whereas I think two of the guys coming in, it's a bit of a gamble, but I think it just shows show that we're actually serious about retaining this title. So I think it's good. We'll just see what happens, right? We've seen big players come up for England before, and some of the other teams that have not exactly hit the heather on fire. We've had Bellamy and Keane come in, and both of them didn't deliver a title. So let's just see what it is, and let's just hope that he gets that exact same buzz as Joe Hart got, that he sees the value in playing for Celtic and the Celtic supporters. That's if they're still going to the games at that point. So just want to bring up, and I've seen Scoop Regan was adding to the WhatsApp chat. I hope you're watching the bus, Reagan. And it was just on the WhatsApp. I've seen before, and this is something I thought was interesting. Calvin Miller. Charlie McGrew.
I've got a couple of comments start there. Charlie Mulgrew, he does a podcast now because, hey, everybody does a podcast now. But yeah, Charlie Mulgrew apparently revealed that, he'd found out one way or another that Calvin Miller was very close to rejoining Celtic on Monday or Sunday evening before the window closed. What do you make of that, Liam?
Well, I mean, because we seem to be playing Falkirk every second week, we've had a good chance to have a look at Calvin Miller. And watching Calvin Miller just with the guys in the pub, you're thinking, well, that's a guy that seems to have got away. I remember the few debuts he had with Celtic. I think in Ange's first year, we played him at left back. But at Falkirk, he seemed to be all out of the park. He's filled out. He seems to he's got a physical presence to him. I like all the tattoos. I like a player with lots of tattoos. But he's certainly leads that Falkirk team. And I thought he's fantastic at pinging in crosses. Anytime he was on the ball, Falkirk were, they'd give us a good run. And, John McGlynn's playing a good role for that boy, where he seems to be, developing as a really good midfielder. Now, if you look at him and look at Arnie Engels, playing in maybe that same position, I don't see a lot of difference. I see they both seem physically, the same size. I think Calvin Miller's more physical. I mean, what do you think? And I'd love to hear some of the bus's reaction on this one as well. If we just sold Engels for the 25 million and replaced him with Calvin Miller, what do you think the reaction would be? I think it'd be bold. I think I'd go out there and think, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I think,
although we're not going to do anything with the money, but
I mean, the optics of it would be brutal. I mean, as much as I've been very critical of Arnie Engels, and I still, to this day, am, what's he good at? Because I still haven't established what's his strongest role in midfield. Some of the stuff that I've read in the last week about how he's one of our best players, I'm probably not watching the same game then as a lot of these fans. I mean, I understand there's value in Arnie Engels. He probably ticks a lot of boxes on these analytic spreadsheets that these sports scientists use nowadays. But again, watching the game with my eyes, I see a lot of games pass Arnie Engels by. But I think if we did, even regardless of how I feel about him, where I'm a bit underwhelmed overall, I think selling him and then replacing him with Calvin Miller would be, I mean, you're talking about how explosive it is right now. My God, Hiroshima would pale in comparison to the explosion that would go on in Glasgow for that one. That one would really tip things over the edge, because it's really on a knife edge right now with how this board are acting, but that one would go away. But in terms of Miller, just in general, forget the Arnie Engels thing, a lot of positive chat in here about Miller. I've seen a lot of things come up talking about him, because the best way I can describe Miller when I watch him is most teams that come to Celtic Park, or all the teams outside of the Rangers and maybe Hearts and Hibs, right? A lot of them kind of just blend into one. They all play a similar style, your Dundees, Dundee Uniteds, and whatnot. But Calvin Miller is very much definitely not. He always stands out. We talk about players being nondescript, where they just kind of blend in and nothing happens. But he does always stand out. He always is. He's very much. He's got a physical side to him. And he is very involved in the game. Doesn't seem to pass him by at all. So I could definitely say about him, compared to obviously when he first broke through with us a good while back now. I'm pretty sure he initially appeared under Rodgers' second season. It was about the same time Ralston got his first sort of start as well. Miller came through, but Ralston obviously stuck around. Miller moved on. But he's definitely improved as a player. The Falkirk have been one of the best teams to watch this season in the Scottish Premiership. I said last week on the post-match, right away to Terry, I went, we need to give Falkirk some credit. The game they gave us last week, they properly came and had a go. And he is a focal point. Calvin Miller is definitely a focal point. Now, could he add to the Celtic team? Probably, as I say, regarding the whole Engels thing, park that. But could he have been a useful squad player? I don't think it's too unlikely. I mean, you look at how some of our midfielders have played this season. Could he be any worse? Really? So there is that argument for it, Liam.
I think he's an upgrade in McCowan for a start. But yeah, could he be an upgrade in Arnie Engels? Yeah, I'd say aye. I think that would be a gamble worth taking with 25 mil in the bank. Maybe we could have got that other boy as well. We could have got the 2 free agents. We got the rest of the squad just to sort of bulk up the numbers, and maybe we could actually push the boat out and got a centre back that had played more than one professional game. And it just shows you, once we get this turnaround, I think I don't know if you saw the interview with who's the other muppet on the board? Is it Mackay or the
one that's interim chairman just now? Wilson, Brian Wilson.
Oh, Wilson, he always
yeah.
A face made of plasticine. It's like too close to the fire. Looks like it's collapsing. When he was talking, it sounds like the board's maybe going to be gone this year. Hopefully, that the summer that was a massive clear out. But Christ's sake, imagine, look at the job we've got in the summer with the amount of players that we have to get in. We've got all these loans. We've got people ending contracts. We'll have a brand new board. It's so you can't be waiting till after the World Cup to do this. It's got to be these plans in motion. I mean, we don't have to wait to the end of the season to replace the board, do we?
Well, Rangers showed a few months back you can get rid of board members mid-season. They got rid of Kevin Felwell and Patrick Stewart. They got rid of they two, and so it's not said beyond possibility. A wee transfer story doing the rounds as well. Graham Tyrrell's came in and asked us a couple of times. Apparently, Hatate is linked to a move to Palmeiras because the transfer window is still open in Brazil for the time being. And he's asking to sell him. I mean, Hatate is definitely past his best. There's no doubt about it. He's probably checked out a good while ago. We haven't really seen the best of Hatate. A couple of flashes here and there, a couple of half-decent passes, but so much times he gives the ball away. He's had a couple of moments in Europe this season where he's obviously scored very valuable goals that have kept us in the Europa League for now. But it's becoming few and far between now, Hatate. Now, sell him now. Again, I mean, would we really miss him? If Hatate was taken away from the Celtic squad right now and wasn't an option for the rest of the season, do you think we'd miss him, Liam?
It's funny, Palmeiras is one of the teams you see players coming to Palmeiras, into the UK and Europe. You don't see many people going there that are not Brazilian or South American. I worked with a Brazilian guy, and he was equally daft about Palmeiras as I am with Celtic. The two is. He was my assistant creative director at one point, and nothing got done before 10 o'clock because we were all on the chats and checking on both our football message boards to figure out what our teams were doing, and then we'd have a talk about it, what Palmeiras was doing, what Celtic was doing, and that was the times when they had Gabriel Jesus was making the switch to Manchester City at that point. And so I've always had a soft spot for Palmeiras as well, and they play in the green and white. It's one I always look at when I'm, you're looking for an alternative to Celtic, strip that's still green, and Palmeiras is always my go-to one for Brazil. Used to be Santos, and then working with my pal, it became Palmeiras. We could lose him, and I don't know. I mean, him, Maeda, we'll see in Engels as well now. We'll see how much this speculation is going to affect him. It's a guy that didn't already seem mentally the toughest in the group, and we'll find out in the next couple of games where his head's at. If that's something that we should have taken the money, but all that's been setting up everything that you have today, so that when you're in a position and you get these offers, you're in a position of strength that you've got a list and you can go through and right, who are the 2 or 3 other players that we've identified for that position that we could pull the trigger on. And just going back, Calvin Miller could have been one of them, and like as a quick fix, because for a guy that shows up every 4 games, Miller, I think Graham Martin said it earlier in the chat, that he might have the Mulgrew effect coming back to Celtic, understanding the expectations of Celtic. And almost coming back with that second chance where you've got a chance to, you didn't appreciate what you had while you were here, or didn't understand the grasp of it, what it takes to be a Celtic player. And then when you go and you train somewhere else and you're playing with other players and you're looking at Celtic for the outside, you say, I wish I had that chance again. And who knows? I don't believe in like flinging players out when they're young because they didn't rip it up in the youth leagues, or they didn't take advantage coming on for 15-minute spells in positions that that weren't theirs. McGrew's a classic example. But, you look at guys like Andy Robertson as well.
Yeah.
Aaron Hickey, guys that we didn't think were good enough young, but develop. Once you're 22, 23, and you've had a chance to get a bit of just a bit of maturity about yourself, physical maturity as well. See the game differently. Maybe you're married, got a kid, or and that as well. Where you just grow into being a man and being a football player. And so yeah, I'd love to see that there's still a chance for some of these players out there. I mean, the amount of players that we see playing against us in the Scottish League that have played for Celtic, and they came through Celtic Boys, what's the boy, like Finlay played with us.
Sure, Finlay at Hearts nowadays, yeah.
Sure, Finlay at Hearts played with us, and then Fraser.
Marcus Fraser scored in the cup final against us.
Yeah, Marcus Fraser was one of those that was always on the, when we had a proper B-side that always looked like it was threatening, and they seemed to make up a lot of the Scotland under-21 team as well, that seemed to be doing really well at that time as well. And then you come in, they don't make it, a place like Celtic, guys like Brendan Rodgers never really gave youth a chance. And so, yeah, there could be some of these guys floating about that we had identified earlier as talent, that still had that talent and maybe had a chance to sort of just cultivate in a different environment and come back, Nobody's done it 23, 24. It's always a chance to reinvent yourself.
Charlie Mulgrew, it's interesting you bring that up because obviously he's the one that came out with that story, so it's interesting you drew that comparison that he could end up doing something like that. But say most of the mentions of Calvin Miller tonight have been very positive in the chat, saying he is somebody we should maybe take a look at in the summer because we do need Scottish players as well for these UEFA squads. So that is always something to consider. And right now, we can't keep on giving contract extensions to James Forrest, and guys like Tony Ralston have definitely ran their course. Interest as well, you bring up the Arnie Engels saga, because obviously how's his head going to be after this? According to Martin O'Neill, he's fine. He's happy to stay. Interesting enough, to my left-hand side on my screen, I've got the current game between Leeds United and Nottingham Forest on, which is live just now, and it's currently 3-0 to Leeds. So maybe Arnie Engels, maybe they sat him down and just said, look, you're better than going down there into a relegation scrap, because Nottingham Forest are definitely not safe right now. They look like they could have a troublesome end to the season. Leeds probably going to do enough to stay up, I would say, but Forest look a bit shaky. So does Arnie Engels fancy going down there for 6 months only to then get relegated? Then what happens to him? Do they get rid of him right away, get him off the wage bill? So there's all that. So keep him, and I say big if he can turn it on and help us have the best possible ending to this season that we can have, then perhaps there'll be better teams coming in for him in the summer, because right now, very precarious position for Nottingham Forest. They're getting absolutely humbled just now on the telly. So we'll just wait and see with that one. But yeah, in terms of transfers, we've got obviously Van Charas and Araujo. We've seen plenty of them. We haven't seen anything yet of Adamu or Mvuka. And obviously Benjamin Arthur, who's probably going to come in as cover. I would like to think that in the event Trusty or Scales get injured or get taken off during the game, just to give them a breather, it's not Dane Murray that we're turning to bring on. It's like, come on, you brought this boy Arthur up. Have we not learned from what happened to Jemai Simpson-Pusey? It's like, give this boy Benjamin Arthur a run out anyway. Let's see what's about. I mean, he seems like a big unit. And again, Martin O'Neill's really talked him up. I've got to say, that is something I've noticed with Martin O'Neill in the short time compared to Brendan Rodgers, because I was always like, for years and years growing up watching football, whenever a new player gets unveiled, usually they'll do a press conference with the manager next to them, and the manager will talk up how he's delighted to get his man. But that didn't seem to happen a lot under Brendan. And obviously we got some weird stuff with the comments on the Japanese players that we signed in the summer about how he just seemed very miffed that we were even signing them. But Martin O'Neill has been very, very, he's really bigged these boys up and talking about, the impact they're going to have and how happy he is. See, that boy Benjamin Arthur, he's talking up all his traits and all his physical attributes. So hopefully he sees something else. I don't want to be in a position where if Austin Trusty gets injured or something in that game and it's Dane Murray that comes on, I want to see, give this lad a chance. We brought him up here instead of wasting him like Jemai Simpson-Pusey. And I say with Adamu, he's a number 9. He's actually been given the number 9 shot, but yeah, he is a striker, and Mvuka is he's a wide player. But I think Adamu, they described him as a versatile forward, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Is he a jack of all trades, a master of none, or whatnot? But we'll wait and see on that one. But will they be involved tomorrow night? I think it's a good game to throw them into, because obviously, Liam, with the busy schedule still go. Usually, when you and I come on the Friday, there's usually a game in the midweek to have spoken about as well. But alas, there was no game called off at Aberdeen. Are they the new Dundee, or are they the new Motherwell from years ago, where their pitch is going to become a problem and cause a bit of a backlog? But yeah, obviously late in the day on Wednesday, after some fans had already set off from Glasgow, the game was called off. There was an amber weather warning, I do believe, in the northeast Scotland, because Dundee and Motherwell got called off as well. But it's now rescheduled for March the 4th. And strangely, I had a weird, ominous feeling about that game, and there was a wee bit of me, but I understand the argument about you want points on the board, especially what the situation we're in right now. But I don't know, I just felt like we could do with a wee week off to now, and our next run of games is Dundee in the Cup. We've got Livingston and Kilmarnock, the next 2 league games, I do believe it is, who are the two. Well, Livingston are definitely bottom. I think Kilmarnock are second bottom. I'm not really sure on that, but they're definitely down near the bottom anyway. So it's like, that's not a bad run of games to try and get the new guys some form. By the time this Aberdeen game does roll around, hopefully we'll have some guys like Sirachi back as well, because right now, Kieran Tierney is blowing out his backside at times in games. I don't think he's played terrible. I've said enough times, I've stuck up for Kieran Tierney a lot. I don't think he's been anywhere near a bad player for us this season in terms of his output. But he's literally one of our only left-back options right now. Sirachi could be back by the time we play Aberdeen again. Alistair Johnson might be a bit of touch and go. They were talking about the springtime for him. I think Carter Vickers and Jota are completely write-offs. I don't think there's any miracle that they're coming back. But again, it will allow guys like Ian Atchell and that to get a bit more minutes in the legs, because again, we need all hands on deck right now, Liam. So there was a wee bit of me through the week where I was like, you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing that the Aberdeen game's been called off for now, because I just had this weird ominous feeling, horrible conditions. I've said enough times about Aberdeen's manager, Peter Leaving, and his feelings towards Celtic. You know that we would have came away with some more injuries, no doubt. It would have been horrible conditions, I say, with it. Even if the game had gone ahead, they probably would have kicked us all over the park. So maybe it's not a bad thing, Liam, that we missed that one for the week.
I was just looking forward to an afternoon in the pub. I had the afternoon booked off. The sun was shining, and I was like, I'm going to go enjoy myself today. That's what I was looking forward to. But you're right. As soon as you get into that horrible situation where the park's flooded, people were unsure of themselves, people are skating all over the place. Who knows what injuries we could have picked up, and that's the last thing that we need going into this run-in is another couple of injuries. Can I just respond to one of the things in the chat, Phil? I seen the Irish boy in Porto wants to know where I'm right now. I'm in Vancouver, mate, and just contact me on Twitter, Punk Duck Warlord on Twitter, and if you need any help here getting ready for the World Cup, if you're working here, reach out. I'll help you out. I used to live in Toronto as well. If you need any contacts, I can help you there as well, pal. And I like the comment about Frimpong and Denier. None of them had played a professional game when they came to Celtic, and both of them became, two of my sort of favourite players at the time. So, so you get that there, and I'm looking forward to the game. Talk about boycotts and all that sort of stuff. I find it hard when I don't have Celtic in my life. It's missing a game. I've had a spotless record. I think is just like, I think there was one time where I was travelling, and one time where we just had we had an outage or something here. But I've missed maybe like 2 Celtic games in the last 5 years, and that includes being in Bulgaria and watching them there, and that, and and I understand the boycott and stuff like that, but I wish there was other ways that you could do it as well, because see depriving yourself of something you love, even though you hate the board and all that. It's just something to do. Like watching Celtic reconnects me with everything. And when you're this far away from home, that connection just keeps me. That's why, I'm Canadian as fuck. Well, I'm Celtic as fucking off. I can't lose that Glasgow side of me. That's just, it's just there. And I look forward to every game. It's like even at 4 a.m, it's a social outing for me. I can't replace with anything else. I love hockey, I love UFC, love boxing and all that, but nothing gets me up more than a Celtic game.
Well, I was always thinking that actually, because I was like, usually you get up at, well, it wouldn't have been a bad time to be fair, the game, but it would have been one of those, what do I do the rest of my day now, for yourself, because you've been 8 hours behind us. But I say the game's now in the back burner. It'll be March the 4th that we play them, so yeah, it'll be a month later, literally a month. So we just need to hope that we've got some players back from injury. Anyone that has come back has got the fitness in the legs and is ready to go. And we have the strongest squad possible. And all the new guys that came in have bedded themselves in and picked up a bit of form, because we cannot afford many more mistakes right now. We need to keep on top of this with Hart's dropping points. Obviously, I think that's one of the most frustrating part of it is Hart's losing to St Mirren. Obviously, didn't help matters because we were ready to go. But I say there's just something in the back of my head which is bothering me about this game. I was like, I don't know, there's just something. The away game's so far under a Neil, even though we've grinded them out. Drew at Hearts, but every other one we've won. But they've been doing pretty ugly performances, and just the way the conditions were shaping up on Wednesday night, I was like, this could be a bit come a cropper here. But see, we've got it further down the line, and we will deal with it then. But let's deal with tomorrow's game, and let's talk about the boycott then, the boycott plan. So, Liam, you've obviously seen the video from Brian Wilson, the interim chairman. Timing is everything, Liam, and the convenience of this is very interesting, because obviously the Celtic fan collective and numerous big voices behind that on Twitter, like Paul John Dykes, and obviously things like from the Green Brigade, have been pushing for a boycott. And the Dundee game has also been singled out because it's a cup game. So I think the mentality is the league is the priority, and the league does get you the keys to the Champions League. It does get you that if you win that. But hey, we want to win everything. We want everything that we can possibly win. We want to win everything. But anyway, they picked this game. And there's always been a lot of back and forth, a real divide in the fan base about if you go to the game, you're a scab. If you don't go to the game, you're no supporting the team. And it's like nobody can get on the same page here. And it feels like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, no matter what side you choose. Are the board sitting back, Liam, and rubbing their hands and going, this is good. Just watch them all fight with each other. Brian Wilson ironically said we needed unity. Right now, there doesn't feel like there's much unity in the fan base, to say everybody's got a different opinion on it. But the timing of it is interesting, because radio silence, the frustration, Liam, that we as fans have had, where if just one person from the hierarchy would just come out and talk to us and tell us what the plan is, just give us regular updates on what are they doing. But we don't hear nothing, and it's always hide behind the manager. They did it with Brendan Rodgers. They're doing it with Martin O'Neill, where he's the only voice that's speaking to us. But out of nowhere, the other night, they dropped this video, and it comes about 24 hours after it was voted by the Celtic fan collective that they're going to boycott the Dundee game. And obviously, he puts out this piece for your favourite person, Jerry McCulloch, and all the softball questions that were just thrown his way. And he batted them away one after the other, no problem. Although he did bring up a few things. And I feel that Wilson said a lot of the right things, but saying and doing in the world of Celtic are two very different things. So it is a bit convenient that now, with the idea that fans are going to start boycotting games en masse, suddenly the board want to talk. They want to communicate with us. They want to start putting videos out to give us updates, Liam. As I say, it's all just a bit too convenient, the timing of it.
Jerry McCulloch, when did you first hear of the boycott? All the answers are written in Jerry's giant forehead for him, just in case he forgets. Don't like Jerry McCulloch.
Just pointing at his head the entire time.
No. I don't know. it's don't trust the board. Sick of the board. Sick of talking about the board.
Bored of the board.
Bored of the board. I'm so bored of the USA. I'm so bored of the board. Honestly, for me, I said it earlier. Boycott's not a thing. I don't think it's fair to Martin. I don't think that's fair to the new players coming into the team. One of the things about playing for Celtic, supporting Celtic, is being part of that crowd, listening to the fans, hearing the songs, all that sort of stuff. I listened to was he called Jim Moore this morning. I got up and was working it, and he was talking about the red card campaign. I like that.
Show the board the red card.
Yeah, and I think you do it. He suggested doing that in the 12th minute, and I'd like to see something like that. I like to see something that is a visual spectacle. I know Lazio did one 2 weeks ago where they're in the stadium and all that. But you know what? You look at the people that save money for season tickets. You look at kids in the Kano Foundation who've probably been looking forward to that game for weeks. You don't expect them to boycott it. You look at the people that get a ticket that don't go to a game. That's that one chance to take your boy, your nephew, or your granddaughter or something to a game and share the Celtic experience with them. They're not going to boycott. And I don't expect people like them to boycott it. And I certainly wouldn't want to put any pressure onto anybody that's looking forward to a Celtic game that's going to get them through the week, through their life, bring back a memory, celebrate an anniversary, anything like that. You don't know why people are going to the games, and you don't expect everybody to boycott it. Now, there's plenty of people, in podcast land, I hate the board more than you hate the board. People are really hanging their hat in that shit.
Yeah, I've noticed.
We all hate the board. We get it, but I think there has to be a reasonable way of protesting. And I like the red card thing. I like the red card because it's it's optics, it's visual. If you're watching that on the telly, the fans, you can't ignore that, and you're going to see that. And when you see, a place that's predominantly green and white turn into red, that's disruptive, right? So cognitively and all that, something's changing. Something's there. It's it's like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. But turn Celtic Park red. Just for that full minute and hold up the car. So good on Jim Moore for thinking creatively in a way that's not destructive to the team, and also not something where you have to make a choice of not going to see something you love, or being called a scab, or feeling like you're crossing a picket line, or doing something un-Celtic just to prove a point. We all hate the board. Nobody's giving these guys a pass. No. But it's stuff like that as well too. But everybody watches Celtic for different reasons, and you don't know what people are going through with their week, with that 90 minutes, win, lose, a great team, shite team. Even in the crap years when Rangers were winning it, I still love to go and see Celtic because it just was that part of my week where I forgot everything else that was going on in the world and focused on the football, and I got joy for that. And so, I wouldn't diss anybody for wanting to have a bit more joy in their life in these times. So, I like the red card thing. I think we need more ideas like that, and we've got a very creative fan base, and we've had some of the best tifos and things like that out there. I like when everybody was standing up.
That was good. That was good last week actually, because the Green Brigade obviously gotten into the stadium, as well as people are giving them their season tickets, whatever. But they were in, and they were next to the other ultras group, Bhoys Celtic, who sit in the southwest corner, and the two groups together had the whole stadium. Well, I spoke to Terry last week on post match. I genuinely think about 95% of the fans were on their feet, and that visual and that sound would have been more concerning for the board, because they have always just felt that it's just those wee Neds in the corner, the Green Brigade. It's just them. We don't need to worry about them. They're a minority. But then you had, like I say, the vast majority of the stadium on their feet, very loud, directing a chant towards them, stand up if you hate the board. And that would have panicked them. You know, the regular, everyday fan, they're all making their voices heard. And so a visual like that to me is more striking. Something like that, you know, getting in there and giving them at both barrels, essentially.
Well, I think we deserve to be greedy here. I think we deserve to have the board sacked and get new people in there are competent and can do what they want. But also, we deserve to win them. We want to see our team win the league as well. And I'd hate to see that disruption where Martin came out and goes, we could have really used the crowd today. Or we could have that, because then again, you feel like you've let down the side and all. And so, yeah, it's a hard one. I understand what the collective's trying to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I fully support them as we all do. And, you know, on this bus, you know, we signed up to be part of that. And you know, we all hate the board, but it's, you know, we're already missing the Green Brigade. So, you know, I don't want to add to that where it could become an excuse for players, become an excuse for anything for no winning this league, because we're in a title race and I'm enjoying it, but I want to see us at full capacity. We've not been doing it with the board, but we can certainly do it as fans and find different ways to show our displeasure with them.
Every weapon that we can get on our side, get the stadium as loud as we can, because we're going to need it. And also, Liam, obviously at the start of every show, I'll call you like Canada's favourite term and whatnot, the beard of knowledge and the wise man, but you've got a new nickname, and it seems to be the voice of reason, because after your very diplomatic speech there on it all, quite a lot of Tanner says here, big man, you're making me greet. He was getting emotional for you. There you go, man. Says he'll second that. Well said, Liam, from Joe Henry. Stephen Kennedy also says, well said, Liam, brilliant. My ball also says, so true, Liam, for the Irish boys today. We're buzzing about going to the games. There you go. You're also the voice of reason now as well. Yeah. There you are. Listen to this, man.
On the football park or night, somebody asked if I played hockey. I play hockey. I played hockey for 20 years. I'm nobody's voice of reason on the park.
No, definitely knowing that. It's quite a violent sport, that one, to be fair.
Quite the opposite.
Well, let's talk then about the game then, because other than all of the noise that's going on off the park right now, we do still, as I said earlier on, there's still a double to be won. I know it might seem a bit impossible at this time, but improbable more than impossible with everything that's going on. But hey, it is still there. And I said to David on Monday night, as carnage-filled as this season is, we're still in quite a good position. We really are still. It's amazing that we're not further back. It really is. It's quite incredible. So we need to make the most of it what we have. So yeah, Dundee tomorrow. So Martin O'Neill on his presser, he was asked about injuries, like any fresh injury concerns, but I don't think he quite understood the question. He seemed a bit like he wasn't grasping it. Then he went, "Oh, in terms of injuries, I mean, I'll probably make some changes." That was really what he came up with. So I would expect that we are going to see a few folk get a run out in this game tomorrow who maybe don't get much game time. I say that might be for the new guys. I say it's a perfect chance. The next run of games, Dundee, Livingston, Kilmarnock, and then I think it's the European game. Then we've got Hibs. So we've got 3 home games out the next 4 as well in terms of domestically. It's not a bad time to bed these guys in. So I'd like to think that we will see some of the new guys. I do, however, think, because obviously we saw it in the League Cup under Brendan at the start of the season. Obviously, in the last round, Martin O'Neill gave Sinisalo a game against Auchinleck. I don't think he's going to do that, though. I think against Auchinleck, even though, we kept a clean sheet, we got through, there was a couple wee heart in the mouth moments there, Liam, that kind of makes you think, yeah, maybe that is why Sinisalo doesn't get much game time. So I think in terms of the goalkeeper, if we're looking at where he might look to change it, I think he'll stick with Kasper right now, because as much as Kasper Schmeichel has been at times pish poor this season, and obviously age is catching up, I genuinely think in recent weeks he's picked up his form again. I mean, he's not obviously prime Schmeichel of like when he was at Leicester years ago, but some of the saves that he's pulled out in recent games have got us through in the end. It could have been a lot worse where we'd be sitting right now.
Well, I know physiotherapy is a hot topic right now in Glasgow and London, but ever since his old man appeared at Celtic Park, in the distance where there was that picture, his dad, in the background, Kasper's game's improved, and maybe that's his shoulders improved as well. Maybe whatever that was wrong with that shoulder is starting to heal in a proper way, and he's just got either through the pain or it's actually just reattached itself somehow, and he's taking the right sort of physiotherapy, and to get that, because I think he's looked good the last couple of games, and he's making those saves with strength. I saw it again. Was it 2 games ago where what I liked about him, that hand comes up. It was in a European game where that hand comes up and it just flashes, and the amount of strength that he has to sort of take that ball and just slot it away. That's what he's, he looks good, and then all of a sudden you can see why he's built that big, and he's not looking heavy or whatever, but it's actually probably just pure strength. He looks like a beast. Reminds me of Oliver Kahn, the German keeper as well.
I remember Oliver Kahn, yeah.
Not as angry as him, but he has his moments,
Yeah. Oliver Kahn, who famously ran out of the goal and done Michael Moles. Remember that one? Remember that thing? Aye, Michael Moles Rangers. Aye, he was through, but he basically ran pretty much 35 yards out of the goal and just done him.
Well,
pretty much ended the boy's career after that.
He's got a highlight reel to make Chuck Liddell proud. So
he's got a violent one, Oliver Kahn. He really was. He couldn't really control that temper. But yeah, in terms of the back line, Tierney's our own real left back option. We could really do with, that's what I said, the Aberdeen game, being missed through the week. Might be a good thing for guys like him because he's playing a lot of football right now. I'd expect the 2 centre backs to keep their place because obviously Dundee are going to, they can't come and play for a point because it's a cup game. So they've got to come and be a bit open. So we can't take too many chances and risk too much. The right back situation, will he keep Araujo for the league game through the week? Just try and maybe give Donovan a run out because I don't think Donovan's a bad shout. We'll wait to see that one. But again, it's the midfield and the forward positions. Obviously, that's where we've added the most bodies at the end of the transfer window there. And Mvuka, obviously Adamu, Vanchara. I would keep Vanchara as the main focal point in the team because he's a big guy. And Dundee, let's be honest, very typical lower end Scottish Premiership team, a lot of physicality. So you want to try and have somebody up there that can hold the ball up and match their clogger defenders. I don't think they've got much finesse and panache about them. So I would think that Vanchara would be a good one because obviously his goal last week was excellent. The glancing header from the distance that he connected with it as well. And to beat the keeper from there, obviously it hits the post, pretty much rolls along the line and goes in at the back post. But that was a great goal, and obviously it came from a good cross. I'd keep him through there and maybe look to later in the game, bringing on Adamu or maybe giving Iheanacho a few more minutes in the legs to try and get him back up to full fitness as well. But first of all, in terms of the forward options, it's good to have options, Liam, because we were running almost on fumes for a period there.
Well, I'm just happy not to see Johnny Kenny come on again. As much as I had high hopes for Johnny Kenny at the beginning, it's a boy that was given every opportunity and squandered it. How he got a move away, I think he's just on loan though, right?
Although Liam, sorry to cut in, but this again sums up the Celtic board. In the summer, Bolton Wanderers bidded £500,000 for Johnny Kenny. We knocked it back and gave him a new 4-year deal. And now we've loaned him to Bolton Wanderers where there's no guarantees that they're going to buy him. And it's like, they've got him for a 4-year deal. And it's like, so hopefully he does well at Bolton to the point where they come back in the summer and make us an offer, because I think we've seen enough of Johnny Kenny to know that he's not going to make it here. I mean, fair play. He's going to have that goal against Rangers for the rest of his life he can look back on. He's lived the dream that all of us wanted, to score a goal against them in a game that we win. But ultimately, he's not good enough. But yeah, typical Celtic board there. They reject an offer in the summer. Same club comes back and effectively gets him for nothing for half a season. So there you go.
No, we need to take some of the Jock Stein quotes and some of the things and put them actually in the boardroom so that they're seeing them. And one is that the Celtic jerseys doesn't shrink to fit inferior players, and we should put that as well with suits and all. The suits have shrunk as well for inferior, manager, boardroom guys, whatever you call them. But yeah, so I think you see Dyson get a rest now.
I think so. I think we're in a position now where we don't need to rely on him. Yeah.
He's struggled now, so now that we've got some options up front, I want to see players battling for the space. Now, is it harsh on Yang that Yang gets dropped right away? Because I think over the last couple of weeks, Yang's been one of the shining lights. He's one of the guys that seems to have stepped up. So I'd maybe, if we don't start him, I'd like to at least see him come on. I'd hate to sort of put him to the side and not reward one of the guys that have actually stepped up and actually played well when we needed him to be there. And so, yeah, but I mean, I've worked in advertising for years, right? New's great. Everybody loves new. You want to see, I'm dying to see what these new players have to offer. I don't want to see it in that Celtic unfiltered and that. Because I just see them talking to people and laughing and all that. I want to see them performing. I want to see what they're like. As Fozzie says, I want to see the intensity. I want to see them,
no coasting.
I just don't want to see them, in interviews. And the boys in the interviews I've seen have came across well, but they all say the same thing. I can play anywhere. I like playing for the crowd. I like that. Okay, prove it. Prove it to this crowd. Prove it to the guys in the stadium. Prove it to the millions watching around the world that you're part of the Celtic class. And yeah, let's see who takes advantage of this opportunity to restart their career and maybe get signed in the summer. I mean, Patrick got so many loan players right now, and this is where O'Neill, Maloney, and Bhoys are going to earn their trust. Yeah. They have to get these players so that winning a Scottish title this year is an accomplishment that they can add to their CV. That even if it's just here for that short time, they're leaving it with a champions medal. And bringing guys back into the dressing room, bringing Joe Hart, bringing Stilly and Petrov, bringing Sutton. Bring those guys in when they're in Glasgow doing, like the talks and axioms and the night outs and stuff like that. Bring them in as well too, so that they can rub off of some of that just winner vibe, so that we can get that right through the change room, because we certainly lost it when we stepped back with Nancy, and I don't know. I think Rodgers thought he was a winner enough to motivate the team. No, I want to see it spread out, and I want to see just people coming back in that's going to get this team up and running, and just sort of like inspire these guys that winning this league for the fans is everything, and that's why I think the fans need to be in the stadium. You have to know who you're playing for. That's why I think a boycott will only work.
I was saying if anyone's going to get a rise out of these players and motivate them, it's Martin O'Neill, and the players that he's brought in all seem to have a very similar trait. They all seem like players who've had a promising start in their career, have kind of fell away a bit, and they have a point to prove, because he did that quite a lot in his first spell as Celtic manager. But see, the problem there is he's only got 4 months to achieve it now. Can he pull it off again? Can he pull out those miracles? I think we're in terms of like the options available to us. I think we've got the best man at the helm right now to get us there. But it's going to be a bumpy ride now at the end of the season. But before we do our predictions, there is a teaser question from the start of the show for the people who missed it. I always like to throw these out there on a Friday evening. So tonight's question only had one answer. And when I usually put the question up, I'll have a wee cast over the chat. And every guess was wrong, so nobody has got it so far. So tonight's question, in case you missed it, was Celtic signed Junior Adamu on loan from SC Freiburg this past week. Can you name the last player Celtic signed from SC Freiburg? So Liam, any ideas who this may be? I'm going to keep my eye in the chat and see if anybody gets it.
It's going to be a difficult one, isn't it? It's not an obvious one, is it, Phil?
It's going to be it's difficult. It's difficult. I'll bring up some of the answers that come in. So Patrick Kenny guessed Maurice Jens. Maurice Jens actually came on loan from Lorient, who we obviously got Mvuka from on loan this week. But no, it's not Maurice Jens. It is not him. My ball is saying, was it Nicholas Kuhn? No, Nicholas Kuhn was Rapid Vienna. Andreas Thom is the next guest. That was Bayer Leverkusen. Stephen Kennedy has guessed Andy Hinkle. That was Seville. He came from. He was playing in Spain. Any other guesses coming up? I'll tell you this right now. Or Patrick. Go for it. Go for it, Liam.
John Inge Berge.
Oh, John Inge Berge. No, he was from Cardiff City. I want to say he was playing in the English Championship. Ian McIntosh was guessed Edson Braffide. That was Bayern Munich. Vidar Risef was guessed by Patrick McLaughlin. I think he was from a German team, but it wasn't SC Freiburg. Okay, see if I tell you this, guys. The player is not German. The player that we brought in from the previous one is not a German, but he was born in Germany.
Oh, I know who it is.
Right, go for it, Liam.
Is it Chaduri?
It's Chaduri, mate. It is indeed, because his dad, Boom Kun Cha, is a South Korean footballing legend, and he played in the Bundesliga in the 1980s for Bayer Leverkusen. But yeah, Cha was born in Germany when his dad was there, and the team that we brought him in from in 2010 was SC Freiburg, as you can see the badge just poking out there on the picture. And of course, I know the answer to this one already, Liam, but if I was to say to you, what's your first memory that comes to you about Chaduri, would it involve an own goal against Stade Rennes and then him just smiling like a complete idiot while Fraser Foster looks really angrily at him? Like, what are you doing?
I liked a bit of Chaduri. I always remember going to visit Dempsey's Bar in New York, which was the Manhattan #1. It's no longer there anymore. Jack Dempsey, the heavyweight boxer, one of the iconic bars in New York City. And you go in there, and they had a wall of fame up there, and Chaduri, Dave, was it Dave Kwong or whatever we had, the other one, and because it was just outside Koreatown. And
that would be as Ki Sung Young you're thinking about.
Ki Sung Young,
Dave. He wanted to call Dave, though. That was a thing. He actually wanted to call David Key, and it was like, where's that came from? But anyway, sorry.
Same with Stilian and Stan.
Stan Petrov,
I know tons of Stilians in Bulgaria, and he was called Stan, But
I'll tell you a good Chaduri, man. One of my lasting memories from him is in Lennon's first full season. Obviously, he was signed that season, and he scored an absolute wonder goal against St Johnstone. Now, it was 0-0 in this game up until the 90th minute, right? And it was at Celtic Park, and it was in the dead of winter in 2010, because we had two winters back to back, 2009 and 2010, where it snowed like midway through December, and it was ice cold for like a month, and this snow just did not melt. It was like below zero every single day. And that night against St Johnstone, it was absolutely perishingly cold. Terrible game. We were stumbling a wee bit in the month of December because we had a bit of a bad run. Then we beat Rangers at Ibrox at the start of January when Samaras scored the 2 goals. But in the run-up to that, we'd had a bit of a stuttery run. And Chaduri scores an unbelievable goal. He cuts in from the right on his left foot and bends it into the top corner. And he takes his shot off. He takes his shot off in the sub-zero conditions and does a knee slide on the freezing grass. But I'll never forget that moment. And I think we scored another goal. Like I think we beat them 2-0 in the end, but it was 0-0 till like the 90th minute. So I always remember that about Chaduri. But he was a bit of a character. Him definitely a trope of Neil Lennon's signings at that time. There was a bit of a character element to them as well. They weren't just like most footballers nowadays, a bit of a robot.
We were in, my wife and I were having a coffee early this morning, and they were playing Stone Roses, I Want to Be Adored. And my wife was going, didn't they used to sing that at Celtic games? I go, no, it was Want to Be Adored. And Ian McIntosh in the chat just reminded me, I was doing my head in trying to think, I remember he had a brilliant song. It was up there with, like, my other favourite was, like, to the tune of Radio Gaga was All We Need Is Stanislav Varga.
Varga. The Hearts fans sing All We Hear Is Claudio Braga nowadays.
Aye, but Don't You Wish You're Right Back was Chaduri.
Kevin Bridges tells that one, didn't he? He met Nicole Scherzinger at some sort of glitzy party, and Hartley walked up to her and was like, he told her that story, and she just looked at him and then just walked away. And it's like, that one didn't land, Kevin, unfortunately, mate. That one just did not. She wasn't impressed. She wasn't impressed at all with that. But yeah, Chadu Reid, that was the nice answer. So thank you everyone in the chat who's complimenting on that question. I was trying to think of a good tease. The last few weeks I've done ones relating to our opponent this weekend, but I was looking at Dundee and going, can I think any good like ones? And I was going through like the transfers this week, and I basically stumbled across that one by accident when I was looking up people on Wikipedia and who had signed over the years. I went Freiburg. And we don't do much business with them. Then turned out Chadu Reid came to Freiburg, and I went, well, he's a cult hero. So we'll throw that one in there tonight. So there we go. I'm glad you enjoyed the question.
I love
predictions then before we go, Liam. Predictions before we go about the Dundee game tomorrow. Will Celtic be getting through to the next round of the Scottish Cup, and how will they do it, Liam?
I think we're going to rout them. I think we're going to have a good game. I think you're going to see the real Celtic show up. Hopefully, Martin gives some new players a start just to sort of get rid of the stagnation. Just the people that think there's a few players that needed a kick up the arse, but we didn't have the people to do that. So I hope he's got some of these new boys up and running, and some of the boys that deserve to be on there. I want to see a display for Celtic tomorrow, and 9:30 tomorrow for me. So I'm looking forward to that, and who knows where I'll end up.
I will. We'll see where your legs take you. Let's get some predictions from the chat. Pat was saying 2-0 hoop scales. He likes a wee scales to score. I notice Pat always likes to throw that in there. Anton Rogan's left foot says a hard fought 1-0. Well, we'll take it as long as you're in the draw for the next round. My ball says hard game tomorrow 2-1. Patrick Gerrigan 2-0. Smell the Glove is going for 3-1, as is Ryan T. And Jim C all going for 3-1 victories for the Celtics. So yeah, I'll go for a 2-0 victory. I think we'll control the game pretty well, and I will definitely pick a Benjamin Nygren goal because, yeah, he seems to, if there's one thing Benjamin Nygren's doing right now, is putting the ball in the back of the bloody net because, as you said last week, everything he does outside the area seems to be pretty rubbish. But when he gets in that penalty area, there's very few people going to stop him. So I'll see a Benjamin Nygren goal. A couple more scores. Liz Donnelly's saying 3-0. Chris Murray's going for 3-1. William O'Toole's got a 2-1 as well. I think I saw Patrick McLaughlin as well saying that he's picking a Nygren goal as well as part of his prediction. So, all that said and done, folks, we'll head off. That's another hour and 15 minutes roughly we've been on. So hopefully you've enjoyed another Friday feeling. Hopefully Liam's more up for it again because I know he's been scunnered for recent weeks. So hopefully he's getting there. I'm starting to get him back. Starting to get him back, He's off to watch obviously the Olympics, the Winter Olympics just now. And enjoy that, Liam. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everyone else, hit the like button, do all the good stuff on the way out. Enjoy the game tomorrow, whether you watch it on TV or if you go to the game. Remember, don't give anybody any grief if they've got a different opinion from you, whether they've decided to boycott or not. At the end of the day, everyone will make their choice, and that's just the way it's got to be. And if you don't believe me, just rewind back and listen to Liam's speech about it earlier. It was very good. And yes, Liam.
Okay, 2 things. Hi, Pam. And lastly, go Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, Super Bowl this weekend. Yes, indeed. Go on, Seahawks. Yes, indeed. Right, okay. We shall be catching you tomorrow night for the post-match. Terry will be on. Obviously be 9-ish or whatever, but we'll get it sorted somehow. And look out for that. Hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified when it's here. And we'll see you tomorrow, folks. Catch you later.